Hey everybody, Ben Nelson, the everyday real estate investor here. Hope you're having a fantastic day and a good start to your 2023, and that you're working your ways towards your goals. My 2023 has definitely started off not even close to what I had planned, just personal stuff yeah, that has been gone on, and just working my way through that. But hope yours as well. Hope you're uh, off to the start that you had hoped for, and maybe even better. So I had a great guest lined up for today, and then my fault. I had a miscommunication on my end for getting that confirmed. So I am putting this other episode together here, which I think will be really insightful, hopefully, to everybody out there listening, and maybe shift some of your mindset around investing and just kind of life in general. Make sure you're on the right track. Make sure you make any adjustments with your mindset that you need to, so you can be as successful as possible in your investing business and in life. But I do have some awesome guests lined up once we get this rescheduled and everything. I am going to be talking to someone. We're going to be talking to someone that has a real estate fund set up. So we're going to be talking about that, hearing their story, how they did that, some of the nuances of investing in a fund and running a fund. That's going to be awesome. I'm excited about that. Have another guest lined up. We're going to be talking about marketing and lead generation and SEO and all the things that you need to do to generate business, because we are in business, right? We're investors. Even if you're a smaller investor, finding those opportunities, that's a key to being successful in investing. So we're going to talk about how to do that and some ways to make that happen and bring those leads in. And we're also going to talk about everyone's favorite topic, right? Taxes. So have my CPA on. We're going to talk about tax strategy. We're heading into tax season, and having to file our taxes. Let's not be afraid of the tax code, guys. Let's be excited about the tax code. I know that sounds weird to a lot of people, be excited about taxes, but uh, taxes are opportunity. The tax code is there to, uh, I don't want to say take advantage of, but it's a guide to how we can keep more of our earned income and more of our investment by doing the right things and doing the things that the government wants us to do, and continue to invest in the economy. So we're going to talk about strategy. We're going to talk about mindset around taxes and how to use it appropriately, how to use it the right way. Um, okay, so let's jump into today's topic. We are going to be talking today about 7 thoughts that will kill your investing business. And these are important because a lot of these could be below the surface, could be maybe you're not paying attention to them. Again, awareness is key, and in everything in life, and in knowing, it's okay to be working through or have an attitude that maybe needs some adjustment. But if you're not even aware of it, then you don't know that you need to make that adjustment. So that's what this is about, is maybe is evaluating, are these an issue in your own mindset? Do you need some tweaking in these areas? Do you need to reassess how you think about these things? And awareness is where that starts, so that you can know if you even have to, you have to recognize it first before you can make that change, right? Okay, so let's jump into it. The first one, this is a big one. I think this is for a lot of people, but it is for me too, definitely. And I guess I would say, to some degree, probably all of these are things that I've wrestled with, some more than others, but uh, being emotional versus being strategic. And I will say, this is where your mistakes come. A lot of your mistakes come from being emotional versus strategic. Passion is great. Being passionate about a certain type of real estate or a certain deal or a specific property, that's great. But emotion, too much emotion, and getting overly excited about the building versus or the deal, or just making a deal in general, it can lead you to ignore numbers. It can lead you to ignore the what ifs, and not look at the downside. You're only looking at the upside, and that's dangerous. And ask me how I know, right? I've shared the stories of my mistakes in the past, and I would say a good chunk of them came from me being emotional. about either I need a deal or I really love this building. And so you start ignoring things that you don't want to ignore. You want to make sure that you're paying attention to those details. You can still have some emotion, you can be excited, but you don't want to be so emotional about it that you are ignoring the strategic part. Buying or holding a property that you shouldn't, keeping something that you should maybe exchange into something else because it's going to perform better. Making improvements based on what you would want versus what is really necessary for it to be a good quality rental property. I'm not saying cut corners. I'm saying, your taste, what you would prefer in your home doesn't necessarily come into play. It's what's the market want? What does the market need? Those are the things you need to be looking at. So, you know, and there's a place for, having some of that mingled together. It's just, I guess, where, maybe you're making an investment in something that's a lifestyle property, right? I'm going to go visit this area. I really want a property in this market, because then I can travel there and I can have the write off and I can, go stay there every once in a while, that sort of thing. That's a totally different decision though. You're doing it because you for those additional reasons, and you're not ignoring the strategic part, but it's part of the calculation, right? So you're aware that that's part of your decision versus saying, man, I really love Florida, I want to buy a property in Florida, and you're not even looking at the numbers to see if it makes sense. That's great, buy in whatever market you want to uh, buy in. But if there's another market that performs better and is going to give you better results, you can always visit. You can always go on vacation, right? So those are the kinds of things that you need to keep in check, and at least again know if you're making a decision that is emotional, that you're factoring that in and that you're aware of it. Okay, next one: having a bad relationship with debt. This will kill your business, and there are a lot of people out there that have different opinions about debt, um, and it's viewed as a very negative thing. And I think people have had bad experiences with debt too, whether that's your parents, or yourself. You just have a bad relationship around debt, around money. You don't have the right idea of what it's supposed to be and what it's supposed to do and what it's there for. And debt can be used the wrong way and it can make you poor, or it can be used the right way and it can make you rich. So you have to have the right view of it and you have to be using it appropriately. So you need to stop viewing debt as bad, quote unquote, right? And you have to instead see it for what it is, which is it's a tool. So you need to use it appropriately. I'm going to use the analogy again. A tool can be very helpful when it's used the right way, and it can be very dangerous when it's not, right? You use a chainsaw and use it the right way, you can limb a tree really quickly. You can do all sorts of things with a chainsaw. Well, if you don't use it the right way, you're going to cut your arm or your leg off, right? So just because it can be dangerous or it can cause damage doesn't mean that it will cause that if it's used appropriately, right? So don't be afraid of it. Learn how to use it the right way. And without debt, it's very, very difficult and it's a lot slower to play this game. So, not saying it can't be done, not saying people don't do it, uh, but learn about it. Learn about debt. Know uh, your risk tolerance with debt. Just because you are using debt doesn't mean you have to maximize your leverage on every property, right? You can have some that are unleveraged, you can have some that are max leveraged, you can have some that are partially leveraged. Although again, I'll mention the real estate guys again because I talk about them a lot because they've been a big influence on me. uh, Russell Gray says that there's two. I think it was him that said it. The riskiest positions that you can be in are, to have lots of equity or to have no, or either have 100% equity or have partial equity. And I'm totally butchering that, but the idea is that if you have a lot of leverage on your property, you have to be able to manage that debt. You have to be able to service that debt with your cash flow, right? So totally that is part of the equation. But if you have a lot of equity and very little debt, don't you think you're probably a little bit more of a target for whoever the lender is? Now, I'm not saying that lenders are all predatory and everything, but there's a little bit more incentive to go after the collateral if you only owe 20% of the value versus if you owe 80% of the value. So just keep that in mind that leverage, it may feel like you're in a better position when you're, 40, 50% leverage, but are you really? And now that equity could be at risk for lawsuits and all sorts of things like that. Right. So, just things to consider that you may not have thought about before when using leverage. Okay, having a scarcity mindset. This one to me, uh, I'm very passionate about this one because I went through this journey myself where just being afraid to share knowledge and being afraid to involve people because, well, what if they take the deal or what if they become a competitor and now I have to compete with them? Okay, there's that mindset, and yes, that's a possibility. But if that's our mindset, then I feel like we're missing the point. We're missing the point that there is a lot of opportunity out there. And yes, if you teach someone to do something, then they may become competition to you, but they also may become a partner. They also could become someone that, hey, they're learning, and now we can go out instead of me buying a single family home and they're buying a single family home, we can go out and we can partner and buy an 8 or 10 plex, right? So just these are the types of things and the opportunities that open up when you start thinking about involving other people and helping each other to be successful instead of viewing each other as competition. Yes, there's some competition in there, and yes, you're going to be maybe vying for some of the same deals, but you also can do more together, and you can help each other and be resources to each other and introduce each other to investors and hey, I mean, if you can't put someone's capital to work all the time, what are they going to do? They're going to find someone else. Well, wouldn't you rather have someone else that that you could say, hey, I've got this person that has some money they need to put to work. You've got a project going right now. This is, I've got a relationship with this person. I would like to continue to work with them, but I don't have anything for them right now. Why don't you use their money for 6 or 9 months and I'll make the introduction and you get your project done. And then if I have something that down the road, then, we can address it at that time. And wouldn't you rather kind of keep that in your circle versus, having them go somewhere else and you don't know where they're investing and, you're protecting their money also because it's someone that you trust, hopefully that you're connecting them to. So, um, you can view it like, oh, I'm giving away one of my lenders. Like, I don't want to do that. But your goal should be to make sure your lenders are making money and keeping their money to work. And if you don't have a way to do that, you might as well pass it off even temporarily to someone that can do that for them. And then you're keeping it in your circle still, and you're servicing your lenders, you're helping another investor, and you're retaining that relationship for down the road. So just things like that, little nuances that you got to think about that, if you try to hold it for yourself, they're going to go find someone else anyway. So it might as well be someone that you introduce them to, and now you're continuing to build that rapport and you're keeping that relationship. Relationships, partnerships, business connections, all these things are necessary to succeed in this business, especially at a higher level. You can't invest in real estate without dealing with people. Sure, there are behind the scenes strategies. You can sit behind your computer. I don't know anything about note investing, by the way, but um, we'll talk to some people that know about that. My understanding, much more behind the scenes, right? Tax liens, notes, a lot of the paper side of it, sure, you can do that. But for the most part, if you're buying real property, you're buying the actual asset of the structure and the land. Uh, this is a relationship business, and you have to have those connections. And having those real relationships with a scarcity mindset, people can see that. People see right through that. Be willing to share your wisdom and your experience. That's why I'm doing this, is because I just know that by reaching out and teaching other people, it's going to help them. But those relationships, and not, it sounds selfish saying it. That's not why I'm doing it. I just know that it's part of what happens, is that you get those connections, you get those relationships just by putting yourself out there and being willing to share. Um, Having an abundance mindset and acting in that way brings more to you, not less. So just remember that. Like, it's really easy to say, well, if I bring so and so along, or I do this, or I involve these other people, there's less for me to get. uh, you're going to have more opportunity. You can have more opportunity. In the end, you're going to end up with more. That shouldn't be your motivation. Your motivation should just be having the right mindset, but you will end up with more. It's just like Zig Ziglar said, you can have anything you want in life by helping it, just by helping as many other people get what they want. Totally butchered that quote as well, but help a lot of people get what they want, and you're going to get what you want as well. So, but that all comes from the abundance mindset. Okay, moving on here. Being afraid of risk. Uh, the investing is risk. Let's be real. Investing is risk. Now you can minimize risk by increasing your knowledge, having systems and processes in place, partnering with people that have strengths that you don't have, but you're never going to eliminate risk. It's always there. It's always there. You invest in anything, the stock market, real estate, a business, there's always risk, because to have a potential for a return and growing your money, there's always going to be that other side. Now, again, you can cover that some of that by all those things we mentioned, and by underwriting deals properly, having market knowledge, partnering with the right people, all of those things. But you have to know that it's risk, and you can't be afraid to lose. You can't be so afraid to lose that you're not willing to put yourself in the position to possibly win. How can you win if you're not also risking losing, right? Every time you go to win something, whether that's a football game, or you know, a business deal, or growing your wealth with investing, you always risk losing. They're both of them are always on the table. But don't be so afraid of it that you don't take action, right? Understand that investing is risk, but so is not investing. What's your other option? To hide your money in a mattress? I mean, that's a risk also. I think we've heard of this thing called inflation, right? So you take all of your money and you shove it under a mattress. Oh, it's safe. Is it? Is it safe? I don't think so. Where that money that is worth nothing sitting under a mattress. It's eroding every day. It's becoming worth less and less. So you got to get your mind around, well, investing is risky. Okay, anything is risky. Everything in life has risk to it. Know what the risks are, evaluate it, take action. Not taking action is also a risk. Know that. Okay, next one, having short-term thinking. This one, uh, you know, people view real estate a lot of times, and they get into it. You hear these gurus talking, you go to these seminars, and it's like, I'm going to make $1 million in a year. Okay, you can't think that way. And I'm not saying think small. I don't subscribe to that. But you know, there's a lot to learn. There's a lot to learn in this business, and you can't have short-term thinking, because number one, you're going to set yourself up for disappointment when you don't hit those numbers, especially if you're starting out and you don't have the knowledge right now, right? And you have to start there. You have to learn first. You're going to set yourself up for disappointment, and you just you're it's not really investing, really. I mean, a lot of that short-term stuff is I'm going to go out, flip properties, I'm going to wholesale, I'm going to do that. That's earning an income. It's not investing. And in this game, long-term thinking wins. This is a long game. There is a lot of money that you can make in real estate, but you have to have a long-term mindset and not be in it just for the short term, because again, you're going to be disappointed. You're not going to see those results, and you're going to miss the opportunity, because, oh, it didn't work for me. Well, you didn't really set yourself up with the right expectations. If you thought you were going to make $1 million in 6 months and you didn't, and that's why you gave up, you had the wrong expectations. You're setting yourself up to be disappointed because you don't know, and you are not being realistic about what this is. Um, Now, have people been successful in a very short amount of time? Absolutely, but that's not that's the exception, not the rule. Okay, this is long term. You're doing this over time. You're building a business, and you're growing it. Um, it's I'm going to go buy, I'm going to go buy 20 properties this year. Okay. And then you don't do that. Well, what if you just bought one or two properties a year for the next 10 years? You'd end up in the same place in 10 years versus saying, I'm going to do it all at once. And then you give up because you weren't able to make it happen. So just have a long-term thinking strategy. Most, investment strategies for the most part are long-term. And not only that, but just remember that the actual investing side of it, again, flipping, wholesaling, all those things, that's not investing, that's trading. That's going to be taxed as earned income. That's a business. You have to go recreate that every day, every month. You have to go find the next deal, right? Well, investing, if you're holding on to properties and you're investing for the long term, you are building cash flow. You are working within the tax system to have those incentives that are going to be tax advantaged. That's investing. That's how you build wealth, is by tapping into the cash flow, the tax benefits, all of those things versus a one-time event and earned income and flipping properties, things like that. So think long term. Don't just think short term. Now I'm not saying don't ever do things that are short term. That's fine. Just don't only do that. Make sure you have some long-term strategies in there as well. This is a big one. This has been a big one for me, and I'm still putting pieces together and always trying to hone this in to be better at this. And that's viewing your investing as a business and not as a hobby. It's the same thing. Investing, real estate brokers, even small businesses. A lot of people, they don't treat it like a business. They treat it like a hobby. I'm going to do this. I'm passionate about it. I like it. I'm going to start this business, and it's just going to work because because I love it and I'm passionate about it. Right? Wrong. No, it's not how it works. You have to pay attention to what you're running and what you're building. You have to track things. You have to pay attention to expenses and manage them. You have to have budgets. You have to track your results and your lead generation and your cash flow and all of these things. And if you're treating it like a hobby, you're not going to do that. And you're going to have no idea where your business is coming from. You're going to have no idea what your cash flow looks like other than just a general idea. You're going to have no idea where you stand with your net worth. You have no idea what your buying power is. You have no idea, and you need to know those things. You need to treat it like a business so you can build it like a business, and so you can be more effective and you can buy more property and you can take advantage of the right tax code benefits, and you can have a successful cash flowing business and not look back at the end of the year and say, wow, I lost money. I didn't even realize that. Well, you should. You need to know that. So treat it seriously. Even if you're only going to buy one property a year, watch the numbers. Look at what your cash flow is. Look at your statements for if you manage it yourself, whether that's if that's just in QuickBooks or something, or if you have a property manager and you get those cash flow reports, look at them. Make sure you know where your money's going. Make sure you understand where you sit and what kind of return you're making. And that's how you also make better investment decisions, because if you don't know what kind of equity you have, what kind of cash flow you are making, all of those pieces, you don't know if you could be making a better investment. You might be having pretty solid cash flow, but uh, until you actually look at it, if you're not paying attention to it, you may be able to be invested in some other property and be making twice as much. Well, you got to pay attention to that stuff so you know that. So treat it seriously. Don't treat it casually. This is your life and this is your retirement. I'm guessing, or part of it, right? So treat it like it's important, because it is. Okay, last one here. We talked about fear earlier and having fear of risk. This is the general blanket: letting fear stop you from taking action. This will kill your business as well, obviously, because there's so many things to be afraid of. You may be afraid of failure, afraid of losing money, afraid of rejection, afraid of what others might think of you. Oh, investing is crazy. I wouldn't invest right now. The market, is at a peak. It's been dropping for the last 6 or 8 months. It's going to keep dropping here. The economy is uncertain. Oh, throw it all out the window. Okay, don't listen to those people. You need to be aware of those things, but don't let them talk you out of investing. Don't worry about what other people may think. Don't worry about failing. Don't worry about asking someone to sell their property and having them say, no, I don't want to sell my property. Big deal. So go ask somebody else, right? So don't let fear stop you from taking action. You'll never invest if you let the fear stop you. Feel the fear, acknowledge the fear. It's there. Okay, that's fine. But don't let it stop you from taking action. Remember, 99% of the things you fear they're just in your head. They're not going to happen. We worry about all these things, and most of them never even happen. You just have to let it go. And what's the worst case scenario? Run that through in your head, accept it, come up with a contingency plan if that does happen, and move forward, right? And again, a lot of these things it's not a big deal. We stop ourselves from walking up and knocking on an owner's door and saying, hey, I'm just curious, I really want to buy a property in this neighborhood, would you consider selling? I know that's kind of a random question. I'm sorry if this is a little bit like forward or bold, but I'm just curious. If the answer is no, that's fine. But if it's yes, I'd love to talk to you about it. Is that a harmful question? No. Are some sellers going to view it as a harmful question? Probably, just because some people are very private or just for whatever reason find that question insulting or whatever. I don't really know, but and so yeah, you might get yelled at. I get letters back all the time. Like, I can't believe you sent me a letter asking if I want to sell my house. How insulting! I don't really see the insult in that, but that's their perspective, right? That's their perspective. Does it have to be my perspective? Do I have to be insulted back at their being insulted by my comment or my question or my letter? No, that's up for me. That's up to me. That's for me to decide how I respond to that. So, don't let those things stop you. And again, we stop ourselves from doing that. And what's the worst case scenario? They cuss you out and kick you out of their yard. Okay, big deal. Go to the neighbor and ask them. Like, it doesn't really affect your life if they reject your proposal. Just move on. And if anything, it actually is good, because you're going to think in the back of your head, man, I really should knock on that door. I really should go talk to that owner. And then you don't. And then you feel like crap about yourself because I can't do this. You're going to beat yourself up because you're not doing the things that you should be doing, when all you need to do is walk up to them, call them, ask them the question. You're going to feel so much better about yourself for actually taking that action, even if their reaction is negative. So don't let fear stop you. The worst thing that can happen is probably not that bad. So act, and just, you don't know until you act, right? And I would rather feel fear and move forward and be rejected or fail or whatever than look back and have regret that I never took action. So, all right, there we go, guys. I hope these things have been helpful for you. 7 thoughts that will kill your investing business. I'm going to run through them again one more time. Being emotional versus strategic, having a bad relationship with debt, having a scarcity mindset, being afraid of risk, having short-term thinking, viewing your investment business as a hobby versus treating it as an actual business, and letting fear stop you from taking action. So I hope you spend some time thinking through all of these things, evaluating whether any of these are holding you back in your business. And a lot of these things are life things as well, right? Not just real estate investing. So don't be afraid. Go out and make things happen. Spend some time thinking through these things, figuring out if you need to make some adjustments in your mindset so you can be more successful in your life and business.